Good morning and welcome back to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm your host, Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq. Joining me at MarketSite is Aninjo Ghosh. He is Professor of Business over at New York University's Stern School of Business. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. We're going to focus on what blockchain means for marketing, a super hot topic within the blockchain space right now. And let's talk about the 4 V's of big data and why they are significant.
Sure. So the 4 V's are volume, velocity, variety, and veracity. Volume means you have lots and lots of data. So organizations are generating tremendous amount of data. Velocity refers to how rapidly the data is being generated. Like think of a smartphone, people are always carrying the phone with them. And so the phone's emitting a lot of data about you every second. Variety means, for example, are you talking about numeric data like prices or sales, or unstructured data like textual content, a consumer review, a blog posting, a Twitter feedback, and so on. And then the more important, I think, is veracity, which essentially refers to how authentic or bona fide or genuine your data is. And this is a big issue today because there's so much, fraud, so to speak, that's going around.
All right, so how does blockchain solve digital advertising challenges?
So in 2 ways. There are 2 pain points in the digital ad tech system today. The first is, consumers are getting overwhelmed with ads and emails and coupons and offers, and we are tuning out. And the reason it's happening is because it's a very high frequency and a very low relevancy of advertising. And the reason that's happening is because the data about consumer preferences has not been stitched together well. The second pain point is on the media side. Brands buy a lot of media from media agencies, and they expect some sort of accountability, but it doesn't happen because of various issues of ad fraud. For example, you don't know if the person clicking on your ad is a bot or a human being. You don't know if it's really showing up on the right website. That's called domain spoofing. So ad fraud and high frequency of targeting of irrelevant ads are pain points. What the blockchain will do is, because of its transparent ledger-based system, it will actually enable both the pain points to be addressed.
So how will transparency and accountability help this process?
So think about advertisers, when they go to an agency and say, okay, help me understand how you spend $1 million. Today, the agencies don't actually quite know how to explain that because there's a big billing reconciliation problem between the advertiser and the publisher. And the reason is there are so many intermediaries sitting between the advertiser and the publisher. There's a DSP, there's an SSP, there's an ad exchange, and everybody's taking a cut. And yet, they're not able to explain like why the cut is necessary or if the cut is even, valid in the first place. What the blockchain will do is it will actually make this entirely transparent, like a single transaction that's viewable by each party as the ad transaction happens. Okay? And so that's the transparency and accountability that is highly relevant in this fragmented ad tech ecosystem.
Well, for brands to better understand their customers better, that's going to require customers to continue to send over data, but you have this big trust issue now. How's blockchain going to help customers trust those companies better?
Okay, so the way I envision the world going to happen in the next 2 to 3 years is we're going to see markets for consumer data privacy, where a consumer can go to a brand and say, look, here's my data. If you're willing to, buy this, I'm willing to offer this for a finite sum of money. And a brand will say, okay, here's your location data. I might give you $100 for your location data. It's going to be like your bank account, right? So anytime there's a credit or a debit, you can see exactly how the transaction happened and who it went to or who is giving you the money. So what the blockchain will do is it's going to enable this transparent transaction-based system between consumers and companies. And consumers who are willing to share data will then be able to see, okay, how much money should I receive from a brand or how much can I negotiate? And this will all appear in this ledger-based system.
All right, to wrap up, how close are we to actual implementation of blockchain in ad tech companies?
Actually, it's already happening. So there's a bunch of companies, a couple in the US, a couple in China and South Korea, who are already working to put together this blockchain in the ad tech ecosystem. What they're essentially able to do is, up until now, the biggest problem was speed of validation of transactions, meaning that programmatic marketing, which is the idea of buying ads online, buying and selling ads online, would take several, a few milliseconds to actually occur, whereas the blockchain validation would take about 10 seconds. So there was a big disconnect until recently. Today, there are new technologies like sharding and plasma subscaling. Companies like Lucidity in the US are already offering this. They can validate these transactions at the same time as they're actually happening. And so that disconnect that used to exist before is now pretty much gone.
All right. Well, thank you very much for joining us at MarketSite. Thank you for joining
Thank you
me.
for
I'm
having
Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.